1, 2, 3, 4. Hola, Gitarristas! Heute sind wir live von der International Jazzwerkstatt zu Saarwellingen am schönen Saarland. Aber wenn der Mensch dagegen tut, das International Jazzwerkstatt, dafür machen wir heute ausnahmsweise die Episode auf Englisch. So, hello everybody, I got a very special guest today on this episode, Nicolas Meier. So, hello. First of all, Nicolas, thank you very much for joining us on this little channel here. Of course, you are an acclaimed international musician, guitarist, composer, and touring musician and recording artist. So I think it might be interesting for you to tell us a bit about how it came about. You know, the first spark that lighted the fire.
Oh.
Did you grow up in a musical household, or how that came about?
Yes, my parents not playing an instrument, but being in love with music and art in general. So my father was a jazz lover, and he saw Miles, he saw Coltrane, he saw Monk in Paris.
Wow!
So that's really special.
Yeah.
And my mom being also into jazz and into ballet, into classical music. So they brought us to learn instruments. So I picked up the flute, and then I picked up the guitar.
Was it the recorder or the flute?
The recorder.
The recorder.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. When you're young, it's the good thing to do. It's
of
easy
course.
and
Yeah.
makes sense. And then suddenly I was doing okay, and they said, well, now let's go choose another instrument. And I chose the guitar after that. So did a bit of classical 1 year.
Yeah.
To make sure I liked it. They'd say, no, you're not allowed of rock guitar now. You start a lovely classical, and I did 1 year, a bit of learning this tradition of classical music. And then when they saw that I liked it, so they said, oh yeah, you can do other things too with the guitar.
Right.
So, and what's great with this, it kept me still in love with classical music.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought me in love with actually many styles of,
Yes.
especially guitar music. But
of course.
So that's a little bit my way, where suddenly I started with rock, classical, jazz, and then I went to Latin music, and then tango, Argentine, and then a bit of Indian, and suddenly all this Balkanic and Turkish sound, they all flourished like this.
All right.
Which
And I know you like heavy metal too.
Yes, a bit of that.
Yeah.
That was the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to play rock guitar and Metallica, and that led to metal, and the energy of metal, which is beautiful, and the songwriting is really good, the musicianship is very good, and So I kept into that type of metal where the musicianship is generally high, songwriting is high, you know, and then it's a matter of taste if you like the type of singing or not, but there's some great stuff.
Yeah. And then you went to Berkeley, to the famous music school in Boston, and you studied there?
Yes.
And then...
So I did all my conservatoire in Switzerland and finished there, and when I was ready and I finished my regular college and I had a bachelor, then my parents let me go for full music in Boston.
Wow, that's a dream come true.
Yeah.
I remember early in the 80s at the music store in Luxembourg, I bought the William Levitt Modern Method for Guitar Volume 1, 2 and 3.
Yes.
He was the guy who founded Berkeley actually, I think.
Yes.
And he was a guitar player, so Berkeley is quite guitar-centric.
Yes. Yeah. When I was there was 900 guitarists.
Yeah.
And probably now there, I don't know, 2,000.
Yes, of course. We had in Saarwellingen, we had a Berkeley teacher here, Garrison Fewen.
Oh, yes.
Garrison, yeah.
Oh, man,
he unfortunately passed away too soon. Yeah.
He was one of the teachers when I was there.
Yeah. Oh, so you know him. Yeah. Great guy. So you ended up living in England, near London, and you played with Jeff Beck. Can you tell us a bit about that? How many times did you play with Jeff? And
well, just for the story, so I left the States when I finished my study, went to Switzerland, and then was looking for something in between Europe and USA, and England was kind of the place with this, and London had so many great musicians there, so it was such a wonderful place to be. Also, I met a lot of classical, jazz, rock musicians, session musicians, and playing in beautiful club there. I got lucky one day to have Jeff Beck in my audience.
Oh, really? He came to see you, to hear you?
Yes. Great. I was playing with a friend who actually, Lizzie Ball, violin player.
Okay.
We used to play crossover music, classical jazz, rock, and we were playing at Ronnie's, and Sonny was in the audience, and
you mean Ronnie Scott's?
Ronnie Scott, yes.
Wow, famous club in London.
Yes. Yeah. And I was playing this guitar, a normal fretted nylon, and I had the fretless guitar also.
Okay.
So I could play a lot of different sound, and Jeff being always in search of different sound and different way of playing. So I think that's what I think that's what interested him in me. And then after that, I told him I was doing an album launch in another club, and he showed up there too. And
fantastic.
then that was it.
And you even wrote a song for him, I believe.
Yeah, we used a few of my songs that I wrote, and then when we got together, we started to write.
Yeah.
So we wrote, I don't know, 15 songs or so.
Yes.
And we recorded some, and then we started to play some live, and we in general we play between 1 and 3 or 4 songs in the set, which is great.
Yeah.
So we co-wrote stuff, and of course he's in charge of how things should sound, which is
he's the boss.
So it's great. What I want to say is that I had this song called Yemin, which I recorded. It's very haunting sound, and with violin or clarinet, and he loved that sound. And then putting the raw guitar on it to give a different edge. And that's the beauty. That song, Yemin, I wrote it, I think, 20 years ago, and I recorded maybe 6-7 times, and with every different artist, it's different. And
of course.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what I love, playing with different artists like this. So from playing with Jeff to a violin to Gilad Atzmon, the sax player, clarinet, who could play with me for 10 years. Very different way of playing that tune, but it's just beautiful.
Of course. But you also are a recording artist. You have many CDs. I've brought some here. So there are many CDs. Nicolas Meier, Silence, Talks.
That's with Gilad, yes.
Yeah, with the great saxophone player Gilad Atzmon, who, by the way, is featured on the last Pink Floyd album, The Endless River. Gilad plays a solo on there. but he's also here in Saarwellingen right now, and he plays with Nicolas. And then there's this record, it's called Journey, also fantastic.
Also with Gilad and Asaf Circus.
Asaf Circus on the drums. And then you have this lovely album, Nicolas Meier
like a trio quartet with percussion and drums.
Yeah, and this one is also very interesting, Nicolas Meier, Infinity, and it has the great Vinny Colaiuta on the drums, and Jimmy Haslip on the bass. He's left-handed, I guess, and he plays with the strings the wrong way.
Yes.
Vinny Colaiuta, of course, he played with the great Alan Holdsworth and with Frank Zappa, and
a list of
he's genius. How did you work? Did you write the music out? Did you hand the guys the sheet music, or how did that? How do you work with those guys in the studio?
That was an album after I did my last Jazzwerkstatt tour, and so I wanted to have a little bit more rocky edge to the music I wrote. So I took maybe 3 or 4 songs that I wrote in the past and wrote more. And so with Vinny Colaiuta, I had this kind of fusion sound, which I was looking forward to, and Jimmy has a wonderful sound. And yes, I wrote the music as clear as possible, because you arrive and those guys are ready to play.
Yeah. And
then I also made kind of backing tracks so they can hear a little bit the vibe.
Oh, you sent them the backing tracks?
No, I did, but we listened in the studio before, and we talked before we were going to record.
Okay.
And the charts, and we listened a little bit part of it, and when things are ready, let's go.
Great. And I'm not sure, but I believe this is your latest one.
Yeah, it's the
2019.
Yes, it's the world group. So I develop more sound of world music, and I have a wonderful percussion player, Demi Garcia.
Yeah.
He's from Spain, so he's got a bit of this. He's got a lot of the Spanish flamenco sound, which brought to my music. Is wonderful, and then he's into all the Latin music, from Cuban music, Brazilian music to Argentinian music.
Yeah.
And he's also into all the Turkish and Balkanic and Arabic sound.
Polyrhythms.
So, yes, so we can really. His set is not a drum set. He has a cajon as a kind of a bass drum.
Yeah, sure.
And everything else. The cajon can do everything.
Yeah.
And then lots of different sound. And then we have a violin player, Richard Jones.
Yeah, Richard Jones.
So this gives. First, he's classical jazz trained, and then he has a lovely soft sound which brings guitar and violin, really Balkanic sound.
Yeah.
So and then wonderful bass player, Kevin Glasgow. Who plays 6-string and has a wonderful phrasing too, and fits very well.
Wow.
So that's a great band for me to keep developing new music. The point of being an artist is trying to do something different than the others, and I think that band has a nice sound, which
yes, I've been listening to it in the car, and it's great. I don't know if it's my favorite record of you, but I like it very, very much. And people can reach out to you on your website, which is www.meiergroup.com. I'll give you the link in the description to this video, so you can maybe get in touch and get these records. They're really worth it. It's a fantastic journey, a musical journey.
So this is an album we did a year before the lockdown, and we had the chance to tour 40 or 50 dates with that, and one of our last concerts was in Colchester, a lovely art center, and we recorded and filmed it. So my first month of the lockdown was mixing and editing video of that concert.
Okay.
So that's what I was doing. And since then, of course, I wrote new music, and we have a new album coming out in September, October.
Okay.
It's the second one of the world group. And, it's kind of a special album because obviously I've been writing and recording a lot during this time, and it's going to be an album with the next world group, and there will be a second album, a solo piece that I record on my own.
And looking forward to that.
The live album, I put it there, so it's an album with 3 CDs.
Yeah.
Also trying to do something different instead of just, oh, that's another CD, or a package.